evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for joining me on tonight. We are in the midst of our small groups on tonight, and hopefully, you have had a very productive day. So we're back in the saddle on Tuesday nights, and hey, let's just say hello to everybody. Let's say hello. Uh oh. All right. Now that we've had this say hello to everybody moment, um, so hopefully we can get moving on tonight. Are you ready? Are you ready? Hey, let me know where you are watching from. Love to speak with you. Love to see where you are watching from our small groups. Do me a favor, share this live with somebody. We are in the midst of starting our brand new series on Gods at War. Kyle Idleman has an amazing book. If you do not have this book, please go out and buy this book. This book has literally spoken volumes about things when it comes to um, understanding the various things that we are struggling with that we don't even know that we're struggling with. And so I want to get into this tonight. So if you don't have it, take good notes. I believe we're going to share it, and I hope that it's going to be of a very big blessing to you. One day, as I was getting into my car, I was getting ready to leave. I was getting ready to leave the house, and I discovered that I could not get out because, for whatever reason, the garage opener would not open. I was in Maryland at that time, and I was trying to get out. I couldn't get out. I felt trapped. I felt stuck, and so needing to call somebody to get me out. And so the first thing I did was I called the company that made the garage opener. So I called them to maybe see if there's anything I can do because I could not lift the garage itself because the door was too heavy. Because when that door goes down, that door is not coming up. So I'm doing everything I can to get this door up. I called the repair people, and here's what he says to me. The first thing he asked me to do was to walk over to the garage door and check to see if the sensors at the bottom were lined up. All right. The first thing he says, hey, check to see if the sensors at the bottom was lined up. Maybe one could have gotten kicked and a little bit off because if it's not precise, then it wouldn't happen. Because the two have to align to one another. And so the signal does not connect and the garage door will not raise. But as soon as I adjusted the sensors, as soon as I adjusted it, which had gotten knocked out of alignment, I think maybe my son was trying to pull the trash can back in, could have just kicked it a little bit, gotten it off of alignment. But as soon as I was able to get it back into alignment, the door raises up, right? The door moves. And I learned something that day. Some things, this is the year of the open door. Some things won't open until it's in alignment, all right? Some things won't open for you until you get into proper alignment. The garage door had been too heavy for me to open on my own. It had been too difficult for me to force it up, but a simple adjustment in alignment, did the trick. Similarly, believers who refuse to align to divine rule in their lives face closed doors. When you refuse to align your life with God, what you end up having is a closed door, blocked destinies, and trapped dreams. When you do not align, you have blocked destinies and trapped dreams. Write this down. It's all about alignment. All right. You cannot ask God for divine favor. Let me say this. You cannot ask God for divine favor. Can everybody hear me? Am I coming through clear online? All right, I'm good. You cannot ask God for divine favor um, and do it your way. So write this down. You cannot ask Him for divine favor. while simultaneously making choices to go against his revealed will. All right? That's what we like to call a contradictory request. All right, let me say this again. You're asking for divine favor while simultaneously making choices that go against God's revealed will. It is called a contradictory request due to the nature of a covenant. Remember, write this down, a covenant. Write this down. A covenant is a divinely created relational bond. A covenant is a divinely created relational bond which carries with it both blessings and consequences. It carries with it both blessings and consequences. Moses made it clear what the consequences would be if the Israelites didn't choose life. He said in Deuteronomy, go to Deuteronomy. Those of you that are watching online, I hope you type it in the chat. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 17 through 18. Deuteronomy 30, 17 through 18. One more time. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 17 through 18. He says, but if your heart turns away and you will not obey, but are drawn away and worship other what? God. Other gods. And not only are you worshiping them, but here's what he also says. You worship them and you what? You serve them. I declare to you today that you shall perish. You will not prolong your days in the land where you are crossing the Jordan to enter and possess it. All right? You're going into something that I'm going to give you access and I'm going to give you the land itself. But you won't live long. You might see it. You might even step a foot or two in it, but you won't live long in it. Okay? So they would perish. They would perish. Their dreams would perish. Their plans would perish. Their hopes would perish. All because they chose to be drawn away and worship other gods. All right? We may not have wooden idols in our culture today or statues to bow down to or figurines that we make up to worship on our own. But we do have other gods, and that's lowercase g. We do have other gods whom far too many of us serve on a regular basis. All right? People have chosen race over God, culture over God, class over God, gender over God, possessions and entertainment over God, and so much more. Can we say this? Relationships. We just finished that. They've chosen relationships over God. They've chosen so much more over God. And we keep making all these choices and wonder why things in our lives are so, in our world, in our communities, are so chaotic. All right? Not only in the world, but also in the church. It's because we keep choosing idols over God's revealed will and over his rule. We keep choosing idols. How do you know when you've chosen an idol? How do you know when you've chosen an idol? All right? Let's say what an idol. An idol is any unauthorized person. Please write this, type this, tweet this, post this. What's an idol? An idol is any unauthorized person, place, thing, or thought. Let me say that again. An idol is any unauthorized person, place, thing, THINDNG, or thought. All right, which you look to in order to determine your decisions. Whomever or whatever influences you to the degree of making the final decision in your life is an idol. It's possible to make family an idol. It's possible to make friends an idol. All right. If it's not, if it is not the true and living God and His Word, it is an idol. If it's not God's Word, it's an idol. All right. You write this down. You serve what you obey. You serve what you obey. You worship what you align underneath. You serve what you obey, and you worship what you align underneath. If the entertainment industry sways your final decision about something and it contradicts God's rule, then it is your idol. If the relationship that you're in sways your opinion one way, like a pendulum, towards what the individual is asking of you that goes against God's rule, it's an idol. It's an idol. If economics makes the final decision, a friend, a relationship, a spouse, all of these can be idols. After all, had Adam in Genesis listened to God rather than listening to Eve, if Adam had listened to God rather than listening to Eve, he would not have eaten of the fruit. All right. And we would be living out a very different outcome today. What would have happened if Eve told Adam about the fruit and he said to her, "You messed up. I'm not going with you," which says to me that sometimes we follow to a point. Adam followed all the way, even if it meant jumping off the cliff, which says we need to follow to a point. Pastor, if you're going to jump off that cliff, you're jumping off by yourself. I ain't going with you. I'm not going to plunge my whole family and my whole existence, my destiny off the cliff. Now, the same God, we got multiple ribs. So if the same God that put him to sleep and pulled one to get her, I'm sure there was more he could have pulled. We're back. Good to see you. He could have pulled another rib to get somebody else, if that would have been the case. Okay? All right, so let's move forward. Any overruling of what God says on a subject in your life, any overruling of what God says on a subject in your life, whatever the person, the place, the thing, or the thought is at that moment, and in that decision becomes your God. It's your idol. And you have removed yourself from the covenant covering of the umbrella. See, the covering no longer works when you choose an idol. Let me say this again. This is good, and I hope you're catching it. The covering no longer works when you choose an idol. When you choose financial profit over biblical principles, or you choose the cultural norm, what everybody else is doing. All right, let's go over to Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. All right, be not conformed to this world, but be ye by the what? That you may be able to prove. All right, you got to prove it. How am I going to prove it? Am I going to stand and argue? I don't believe that's what Paul was implying, that we had to stand and argue with people to prove what's still the good and acceptable will of God. We just had to live it out. We had to prove it by the way we live and how God showed us that we were the difference between everybody else. Okay? So this is why you can no longer follow the norm. All right? It's a lot more straightforward than most people like to think. Let's go to Matthew chapter 6 and verse 24. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 24. Matthew 6 and 24. Hey, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Matthew 6 and 24 states it this way. Are you there? Are you there? Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. Everybody wants to be taught the blessings. How you gonna get me the blessing? You can't get the blessing if you are living with the principles of the enemy. Okay? Matthew 6 and 24 states it like this. It says, no one can serve how many masters? You can't serve two masters. All right? For either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one, but he gonna despise the other one. Right? You cannot serve God and wealth. For personal application, you can substitute wealth in there for whatever it is that trumps God's rule in your life and draws you from an intimate relationship with him. All right? For example, here it is. You cannot serve God and a popular opinion. You can't serve God and a popular opinion. You cannot serve God and be people pleasing. You let me say that. Let me rewind the tape. You cannot serve God and be a people pleaser. Because if you are a people pleaser, then obviously God is not going to be pleased. Right? You cannot serve God and dishonesty. You cannot serve God and immorality. Cannot serve God and pride. Right? You cannot, oh, this is going to be a good one right here. Can't serve God and still be bitter. That hurt. Ouch. You can't serve God and still be bitter, right? You can't serve God and still be dropping it like it's hot. Okay, God. All right. You got me on Sunday morning, right? From 10 to 12. Don't ask me for nothing on Monday. Don't ask me for nothing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's my time, right? So from Sunday 10 to 12, I got you. I'm going to come. I'm gonna even drop a few things in there. I'm gonna drop a few pennies in the offering plate, a few dollar bills in there. You probably dropping the ones from the strip club. I'm sorry, my bad. Telling all your business. So you're gonna drop the ones from the strip club from last night, right? All right. So you drop something to think you've done him justice. But God, don't touch the rest of my week. Don't tell me how to parent. Don't tell me how to be a man. Don't tell me how to be a woman. Don't tell me how I ought to live holy. I don't want that part of you. I want what's in your hand, and I don't want to follow your rules. I just want your blessings. That's all I want. Everything else, you keep. Don't bother me. Oh, by the way, I will bow my head and say a prayer right before I eat. But that's about it. So I'm gonna go to church on Sunday. I'm gonna bow my head before I eat, but that's about it. Don't talk to me about my girlfriend. Don't talk to me about my boyfriend. Don't talk to me about my husband. Don't talk to me about any of that. Mind your business, God. All right? So watch this. Here's another one. You cannot serve God and yourself. You're gonna have to choose. Is it me or is it you? Right? What's more? You get to choose. And with those choices comes consequences, blessings or cursings. Essentially, you get to choose if you experience blessings or cursings. When you think about it, that is a really good thing. God has given us the opportunity to choose whether we want to experience blessings or cursings. Wow, wow. Write this down. You only have one source. You only have one source. But you have a multiplicity of resources. You only have one source, but you have a multiplicity of resources, things that God can use to address needs. But you ain't got but one source, multiple resources, right? The moment a resource becomes a competing source, Then you got multiple gods. Just making sense tonight? I'm a little hot. Give me a second. Take this jacket off. Normally I'm freezing, but I'm good tonight. All right? So the moment a resource becomes a competing source, you've got multiple gods. All right? Samuel speaks this in verse 3. All right? I'm in 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 3. Can you get there? 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 3. 1 Samuel 7 and 3. All right, let's stop for a pause and say hello. Hello, everybody. Y'all not waving tonight? Oh, y'all being shy. Y'all being funny. Hard to get. Let's go over here. Let's say hello again. All right, now that we don't pause for a commercial break. We don't pause for the commercial break. Let's move it. Let's move it. All right? 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 3. All right? It says, one day, Samuel told all the people of Israel, if you really want to turn back to the Lord, this is going to be good. Don't miss this. If you really want to turn back to the Lord, prove it. Get rid of your foreign idols, including the ones of the goddess Ashtoreth. Turn to the Lord with all your heart and worship him only. Then he'll rescue you from the Philistines. I had to go back to two verses to figure out what had happened, right? They stand out their wits. They get ready to get mauled by the Philistines. They needing God for help. So they end up getting the Ark of the Covenant, all right? The Lord had returned to them. Y'all pay attention. The Lord had already, in this particular text, returned to Israel because the Ark of the Covenant was in the house. But there needed to be another kind of return. It wasn't just God returning to them, right? Because the Ark of the Covenant represents the presence of the Lord. So the presence of the Lord is in the house, but the people never turn. So it's possible to be there physically, but not have your heart turn back to him, right? I know I say this all the time, but there's a song there, right? If your heart isn't in it, why keep me hanging on? Yeah, don't keep me hanging on for too long. So the people, no, they don't know that. I'm sorry, that's too old of a song. All right. So the problem is that the ark was there, but the people hadn't turned their hearts back to him. All right. And to return to the Lord meant, write this down, you had to get rid of some things. When I went back and I studied deeper, Kenya, what I discovered is to return back to him was not just repentance. What he was really saying was, yeah, I want you to repent. I want you to do a 180. But he says, I want you to come back where I've got the land for you all over here. I got the blessings for you over here. I'm trying to give you this. I can't walk it across the line and give it to you. You're going to have to make a decision to leave something, right? Many of you all lift up your hands if you live at Panera. You got a bed, a pillow, a blankie somewhere in the back corner. You got a toilet here. I don't know what y'all do about shower. Or maybe you do like old school and hit the hot spots in the sink, in the back. Yeah, y'all don't know about the hot spots. I'm sorry, too much. Too much? All right. You got something to eat. Maybe this is where you live. If you live here, lift up your hands. Because just wink at me, wave something. It's like at an auction. Don't nobody move. Ain't nobody moving. Right? All right. So I take it nobody lives here. So which means in order to come here tonight, you had to leave from somewhere else. Right? You had to leave from the house. You had to leave from the job. You had to leave from wherever you were. Same concept. If you're going to return to where God is, right? God is everywhere. That is true. But it's concentrated presence. It's where I want to be at. So you're going to have to leave something to get where he's at. All right? Look at 3b. Let's go to 3b of 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 3. Look at 3b. He says, get rid of your foreign idols, including the ones of the goddess. Turn to the Lord with all your heart and worship him. All right? Worship him what? Only. This is worship him only. Write this down. It is what is called a no clause. Now this is a legal term. A no compete clause. All right, let me say that again. Type that in the chat. A no compete clause. What is a non-compete clause? I'm glad you asked. A non-compete clause prohibits you from working with your former employers following separation. Okay, I think y'all missed that. It prohibits you from working with your former employer. So that would mean, let me say this, it is to protect your current employer trade secrets. So it protects you from sharing what your new employer is doing in your life, sharing that with the old employer. All right. When God says, here's what I want to do, I've rescued you from yourself. I rescued you from sin. I rescued you from hell. And when I rescued you from hell, I don't want you going and sharing information with the enemy. In other words, I need you to cut all ties with the enemy. I need you to cut all ties with everything that draws you back into an old you. Cut ties. I need you to type that in the chat. Cut ties. I'm cutting ties. Yeah. For some people, it ain't healthy to hang around them. They good, but it ain't healthy to hang around them. So I got to cut all ties because they toxic. Every time I get around them, they mouth is filthy. Every time I get around them, they ain't good folks to hang around. I got to cut all ties with anything that draws me back. In other words, when the great I am that I am brings you out, you don't go tell the enemy any trade secrets, because he may use that to try to undermine your breakthrough. All right? So get rid of your idols. So what the children of Israel did was brought in the Ark of the Covenant without getting rid of the competing deities. So you brought in the presence of God, and yet he's there with your idols in the same vicinity. So you worshiping, lifting up your hands, asking him for the blessing, asking the Lord for the blessings, but going back, still living life the way you always lived. Come on here. Come on. They brought the Ark of the Covenant in, but they didn't want to get rid of their other gods. Because if what you had was that good, then why would you need to go find the Ark of the Covenant if what you had was that good? But the other idols gave them, this is so important to write, it gave them a level of comfort and security. In other words, it gave them, write this down, it gave them a fallback plan, a plan B. I was reading this morning, Winter, this was so amazing. I was reading about Gideon, and Gideon, who had never fought a battle, who wasn't no military guy, but had 32,000 warriors with him, and God says, trim them back. I'd have been like, wait, you want me to go after all them people? You want me to trim back what we got? He said, trim them back. He trimmed everything back to 300 people. God, this is unfair. It's cruel. You sending us in the slaughter. He says, listen, here's what I want you to do. Here's a strategy. But God gave them a strategy. I want you to circle the enemy. I want you to have a jug, right? And he said, at a certain time, and so when 300 people dropped their jugs and it shattered, it caused such a sound that all of the enemies in the camp took off running. Right? I said, God, why would you do that? Okay, that's nice. I'm glad you did that. But why? He says, watch this. Because if they would have went in with 32,000 soldiers, they would have not relied on me. They would have relied on their numbers. You may not have what somebody down the street has. You may not have the relationship that you desire, that you're looking across the pond that somebody else got. But God says, I'm going to do more for you in this season. Right? than you could ever think you're looking at something that may not even be real. Because people do post things that ain't even real. They ain't even happen. They just putting up pictures. All right. So he says, I don't want you to have a fallback plan. I don't want you to have a comfort and security. All right. So we defined an idol, and I'll say it again. It's a noun. It's a noun. Any person, place, thing, or thought that 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 you look to as your source to meet your needs. All right. Idols were not just things, but they were things designed to do something. All right, catch this. Idols weren't just things, but they were things designed to do something. People didn't worship idols just because, but they wanted the idols to do something for them. All right. Baal and his girlfriend Ashtoreth, all right, were the fertility gods. Now, I thought this was interesting. They were the ones who were going to make the land productive. All right. If I had time tonight, I would break down that in Egypt, God literally had to, when he did the plagues, the 10 plagues, all right, they represented different gods. All right. They were 10 different gods. The first God that he deals with is that he deals with a God that people believe that when they wanted rain, this God would make it rain. That they would drink the water, and the water would make them healthy. It would also the fertility God, that if they needed a baby, that they would drink the water, and they would pray to Ashtoreth, and she would help them produce. And as long as that was happening, they felt like that they was good. So God says, no problem. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna destroy your God. I'm gonna let you know who I am. So he turns the water into blood, where it was so toxic. One scientist said it wasn't blood, but when the gases in the earth meets with the oxygen, it turns the water a different color, right? So what had happened was God allowed the earth to shift, and it had a fracture at the bottom of the ocean, and the gases came up, hit the oxygen in the water, turned it red, and everything in that moment couldn't live because it was dying. So, which means if you drank the water, it would kill you. It's undrinkable or make you extremely sick. So God says, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna destroy your God. Now tell your God to make it clean again. Did I lose it? Did I lose anybody? Let me stop right here and ask a few questions. All right, any questions, any comments? None? All right. See, and that was the problem. They counted on these two gods, fertility. Even then they would rub the stomach, right? You ever seen people rub the stomach and they say, "I'm speaking blessings over it." They literally were praying to a false god that was going to make their babies healthy, right? God just dismantled 9 other gods, right? He gets to the very last god in Egypt and he says, all right, this God's supposed to keep you alive. Cool. I'm going to dismantle that. Every firstborn I'm killing. But I thought about it. Can you imagine a whole city you're hearing cries and shouts because maybe their firstborn son dies, firstborn daughter dies? Well, let's go deeper. What if the mom or the wife was the firstborn? Which means that family not only lost their firstborn child, but they lost the mom with it, or the dad who was the firstborn. So all of this was happening because the Lamb was of God was not in them, and the blood was not applied on their lives. So he dismantled all of this, right? Watch this, watch this. They were looking to Baal and Asher together would cause an economic situation to be better. So they were saying our finances are better because of these gods. They were looking to these gods to do something. It was their source. All right. When we talk about idolatry, we don't just think of third world countries where they worship stones and trinkets. It is a noun, person, place, or thing or thought that you look to as your source to meet your needs. You so watch this. If your identity is in your job and God are equal, that's an idol. All right, your bank account or politics, all right, equal with God, that's an idol. All right, all God is seeing is just a bunch of idols. All right, see, we have American idols, which are designer idols. All right, let's go to Romans chapter 1, verse 18. Romans 1:18. Romans 1:18. Let's go there. Hope this is blessing you. Romans 1:18. I'm almost done. Hang in here with me. Romans 1:18 says, from heaven, God shows how angry he is with all the wicked and evil things that sinful people do to crush the truth. They know everything that can be known about God because God has shown it all to them. God's eternal power and character cannot be seen. But from the beginning of creation, God has shown what these are like by all he has made. That's why those people don't have any excuse. Look at verse 21. This is important. They know about God, but they do not honor him. They don't even thank him. Their thoughts are useless, and their stupid minds are in the dark. Now that's harsh, Paul. The stupid minds are in the dark. What are you saying? Here's what verse 21 is saying. He says, even with all your intellect, with your MBAs, with your degrees, with your masters, with your doctorates, with all of your degrees in intellect, you're still ignorant. So he says, if you want God in First Samuel, even though you have the symbol here, right, which is the Ark of the Covenant, even though you have the symbol, there must be a return because he has returned to you. So now the question is, have we really returned to God? All right. Let me tell you why we like idols. Can I tell you why we like idols? Because they make us comfortable. We like idols because they make us comfortable. Watch this. Here's another one. Here's why we like idols. Because there's no accountability. I don't have to answer to an image. I don't have to be bossed around by an idol because I have an element called control. Because I made the idol and I decided you will be an idol. If I made you my idol, then I have say so about how I'm going to allow you to idol me. I will decide that part of God I don't want or like. I like this part of God, not that part. But I'll keep you around so that that part is available to me. So write this down. This is important. We want a convenient God. Don't bless me, but don't lead me. Don't lead my life. I don't need you to lead my life. I just need you to bless my life. Idols are created by man because then you can control it. If you create it, you can control it. So when Moses asked God, when God told Moses, go to Egypt, go present yourself before Pharaoh, he says, who shall I say sent me? Because I'm going to Pharaoh and they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to say, who died and made you boss? Right? They're going to ask who sent you. God says, you tell them I am that I am sent you. Don't tell them I am what you want me to be sent you. You tell them I am that I am. What is I am? I'm self-sufficient, self-existent, and self-contained. I'm the independent deity. He says, tell them I call the shots. We live in a day where people want God for invocations, that's the beginning, and benedictions, the end, as long as he has no say-so with the stuff in between. I was reading in the case study, which was very interesting. Reading in the case study, and this is what I discovered. In the case study, case number 2, right? Case study number 2, here's a girl who is living with her boyfriend. She's living with her boo. Her mom says, what I want you to do is I want you to go and I want you to talk to her. I want you to have this conversation with her because she's out of pocket. Okay? Go talk to her. She's living with this man. And so the author of the book, God's at War, go and talk to her. I know why you're here. You come in and tell me about. He says, no. He said, I just want to ask you a question. Are you prepared to pay what it's going to cost? She says, what? He says, are you prepared to pay what it's going to cost to be separated from your family? To be on the outs with your family because of the relationship? He starts asking her questions that she couldn't answer because she had not counted up the cost. When the scripture says, count up the cost, see if this is what you really want to do. When he got done talking with her, he didn't condemn her. He said, hey, if you've counted up the cost, and as a matter of fact, he never going to marry you anyway, because you're already giving him everything he wants. There's no reason for anything else when I'm getting everything. Why would I marry you when I got the whole field? Right? Have we counted up the cost what we are making idols out of? Maybe we're making an idol out of our relationships, family, friends, whatever that is. So tonight, I want to challenge you tonight. I want to challenge everybody tonight. I'm drawing the line in the sand. All right? Where you gonna live at? You're gonna live on this side? All right, let me put another picture. The Lord says, I would that you hot or cold. Anybody likes lukewarm water? I ain't talking about washing your mouth out. Anybody likes to drink lukewarm water? Okay. Anybody likes cold water? Great. Anybody likes hot water? All right. Like them both. I like hot and I like cold. Right? I like hot in the proper context, tea. I like cold in the proper context. I don't like lukewarm water. It makes me gag. This is what God says. He says, I would that you be hot or cold. Because to be lukewarm, you make me sick. So where are you going to land when it comes to your relationship with God? All right, here's what I asked tonight, and I'm done. What is it that you have made a God out of? An idol. You didn't even know you made it an idol, but you made it an idol. What was it you made an idol out of? All right, social media. Oh, that's good. Listen. Today, I got my daughter. I'm taking her to get her her learner's permit today. Pray for me. Oh my Jesus. Pray for me. Yeah. So she goes to get her learner's permit. 8:00 in the morning, we get there. We there from 8 to about 9:30. 11:30. We from 8 to 11:30. Over 3 hours we're there. All right. She gets her while she's there. Somebody hacked into my phone. So I'm sitting there while she's taking a test. I'm flipping out because now my whole Facebook page, my IG account is gone. I'm trying to do the reset. I'm trying to type. Listen, they sending passcodes. I'm typing it in. I can't get back in my account. So I'm flipped out, going, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't get into the church's account. I can't get into. I ain't got no account. I get in the car. I couldn't even celebrate good with her. Celebrate a little bit with her, but I was like, boo, we got to get to the house. because I don't want to open my phone back up. I need to get to the house. I need to make sure I can get into my accounts. I get home. I'm on my way there. My wife calls and she says, I'm locked out too. So we both locked out of our Facebook account. She didn't flip out, but I did. Right? You'd have told me I got this sickness. You should pray for me. Oh, I got you. We ain't flipping out about that. I'm good. I'm good with that. They said that don't broke off in my life. Calm down. We got it. I said, Jesus, we got this. We gonna pray this. Calm. But I found out what my idol was. My idol was social media. Cause I'm sitting there going, what am I gonna do? I ain't got no social media now. Jesus, 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 Jesus. I'm sitting there calling on them. Help me, Lord. Right? Not realizing I made it my idol. Soon as I get home, hit a button. Come to find out, everything popped right back up. Everything came right back like it was. I'm sitting there going, all right, Jesus. He said, stop. Let me check you. Wait, you're not gonna let me celebrate? I'm not gonna let you celebrate. Because that's your idol. So you're gonna go there tonight and tell everybody else about theirs, but let me tell you about yours. Won't he check you? Right. But I'm the bishop. It's okay who you are. I'm God. You're right, my Lord. My apologies. Because I realized something. I think most of us have made an idol out of social media. What did we do before TikTok? What did we do before IG? What did we do before X, formerly known as Twitter? What did we do with Facebook when we didn't before Facebook? And my daughter said something to me that I brushed it off so fast, I was getting mad with her. She said, well, Daddy, it's not as bad as it could be. And I gave her that look. Like, if you don't turn that volume down. Why? Because she was attacking my idol. So publicly, I had to admit, I had to get checked on my idol. What's your idol?
I'll say my emotions.
Oh, that's good. She said her emotions.
Yeah, I was going to say something. Fear. Fear. Fear in this time to this the emotions for a long time. I was afraid of the unknown. So I picture it as like people that do idol worship, like in New Orleans and things like that, the little wax figures with the little pins in the hand. That's what fear was for me for the majority of my life until deliverance came. Fear.
Hmm. Anybody else? What's your? I heard Kenya say emotions. Anybody else want to jump out there? Tess?
It's me when I'm working hard because for Lent I gave up video games, but then even though I gave it up, I still find myself watching YouTube videos of the video
That's my son. That's my son does that. I put him on punishment. He said, no problem. I'm gonna go watch somebody else play the games. All right. I hope you heard what he said. He said video games. What's your idol? Oh, all right. Um, he says music. Music. Wow. Yeah, I gotta admit that too. I didn't know I had that many. I get in the car. I can't even drive off good without making sure I got something good to ride with. Devontae,
To the say the
I hear you.
phones. The
Huh?
phones are my idols.
Oh,
You know, with our phones, people are crazy.
phones. Is your phone your idol? If you, listen, can we like show hands? If you could not get into your phone for the next 24 hours, how would you feel?
Oh, I would be okay.
La 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 la.
I would seriously be okay.
All right. Some say
Okay, what if it was a week? A week, I would be okay. As long as I can get in contact with my children, I'm good.
okay.
I feel like as long as I was able to like pre-warn my family, just so they weren't worried about me. I really like because that's something I've been trying to just work on in general. Is not being on my phone or like here if I don't have my phone near me. So like honestly, I would just like to see how that challenge would go. So I think I would be okay.
Winter says, shoot, let me not talk to you. All right, over here. How would y'all be okay if you didn't have a phone for a week?
I've done it before. I cut communication.
For a whole week? No, I mean you can't call out. You don't accept nobody's call coming in. You the champ.
It was hard. I wouldn't be okay, but I had to get over it. If it was, I don't know.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. If I was allowed to alert my friends and family to the fact that I'm not gonna have that phone for a week, then I would have to say I would have to. But if I wasn't allowed to tell my family and friends that I was, let's say, fasting from my phone for a week, then I don't think I would be okay. That's what it would be.
I mean, if you have left home, left your phone, got a little ways away, and really couldn't afford to go back, but you turned back because you didn't have it.
That just happened to me today. I did it because my boys are at school, so I was like, if they would have been like been straight, if I would have, but I was going to work. I'm like, what the school called me, so I had to go back and get the phone. But if it's going for them, I would not have.
Wow. Okay. Johanna,
I would feel lost.
without your phone.
Yeah, I do everything on my phone. So I would feel lost.
Kayla. Shade. Let me just go on camera and say this. I would be like a ship without a sail. If I couldn't talk on my phone, I couldn't get calls coming in. Because number one, I do all my business on my phone. So that's my money. I'll be sitting there somewhere for real, like sending smoke signals. Somebody, please get me a line out. SOS. Oh my God. Somebody said, oh my God, not my phone. Lizzie said, what about our 7:30 call? I know we wouldn't be able to talk if I had no phone. What are your items? What else is yours? All right, we got fear, we got phones, we got social media. Sugar. Oh my God. I didn't know I had that many idols. Because I got to have some sweet, because like, I'm going to go get it tonight. Pray for me. Oh, I got to go have it.
Having my way is an item for me because if I don't
Wait. She said having her way. How many spoiled folk we got in the room? Look here. Look at all the spoiled people. Spoiled. Gotta have my way. If I wait a minute, hold. If I don't have my way, I got an attitude. Where y'all at?
I'm like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right here, me too. I'm sorry.
Don't look over here.
And why your hand ain't out? All right, let me come down here. Who got to have control?
The Lord didn't tell you to call me out.
Who got to have control? I got to always have control. Hold on, lift your hand. Look here. Right there. See? Right there.
Emotion. You gotta have control of my emotions.
I gotta have control of everything.
Me, I'm not
Facts.
controlling, but I got to have my way on certain stuff, and you will never hear me shut up until I get it.
Oh, wait a minute. Who say I got to have the last word? Ooh, I got to have the last word. Yo, you're not gonna overtalk me. And you, so we got. Listen, y'all. What I want us to do is write down 3 major idols. 3 major idols. Write them down. You're not gonna share them because for some people it could be a relationship. It could be intimacy. I said that nice too. I'm doing good because you're addicted. Got to have it. Can I get to the yams? Sweet.
Hey, you got a several. That's music.
I was trying to say it in a way that we all can catch it. All right. So whatever, three major things that is an idol, you need to pray and ask God to help you with. I don't think there's nothing wrong with a cell phone. I think everything is good in the eyesight of God in moderation. But I think when we take it to the extreme that we can't live without it, that's when it becomes a problem. Hey, y'all, I hope you've enjoyed tonight. I've enjoyed teaching tonight as we open up our first small group on God's at War. Kyle Eidelman, please get the book. Go get it. It's going to be a blessing to you. Go get the book. Go get the book. All right. Hey, enjoyed being here with you tonight. I hope you will leave your home, leave your job. Don't quit your job. Leave your job on next Tuesday and come visit with us, 7 o'clock for 1 hour. We are out. Have an amazing night.